Since its creation in 1995, the Electronic Entertainment Expo has been a second Christmas for gamers around the world, an event where dreams can be realized at the same time big disappointments. This year, they have opened the gates to the general consumer, making more lines congested to play half-baked demos that might not be fully realized in the final product. Today we are asking the question to game developers: is it worth going to E3? This year we've seen a change in structure. EA has their own event called EA Play. Nintendo famously hosts direct live streams, even Bethesda having enough content to justify a press conference. So less is going into the convention itself, but rather an overall experience, as well as making sure your game or important information isn't lost in the flood of news. The reason behind this is E3, unlike PAX, Gamescom, or GDC, are hardly even covered by the mainstream news outlets. E3 is where people who don't live in the tech game bubble hear about new games coming out and new technology. This is why the message you deliver is so important. This can have repercussions for even years. Infamously, Xbox back in 2013 announced the Xbox One. Not only has it affected their sales currently, but people who don't follow the tech industry think that it's still always online, or even third-party marketing deals exist to trick the general consumer to think that games that are on every single platform are only exclusive to one. If I was a publisher who had a niche game in development, I wouldn't show it at E3, but other conferences. There is a possibility it might get lost in the white noise of other mainstream games. This goes the same with small indie developers. Unless you're being published or have a spot in one of their conferences, there are better trade shows to get awareness for your game, like PAX. Which leads me to my next point. Don't come to E3 if you are not ready. You can't plan for every bug that might happen in your demo.
So here's this giant enemy crab.
If this is your first showing, you want to make an impact and not talk about a technical error that happened in your demo. Even then, we have seen many developers show us something and not be in the game, or have downgrades for the final product. This can create a backlash and can turn away people who can be loyal to a company, and they'll wait for the reviews. This can be attributed to game demos they create. They take away time and energy from the game and instead cook up an experience of what the game should be. This process takes a few weeks to create a code for the showing of your game. This can have costly effects, most notably Bungie's development of Halo 2. Not only did they have a rocky demo when they showed off Halo under Microsoft for the first time, where it could crash at any moment, Halo 2 suffered from having not only content cut from where the demo showed, but a lot of the game entirely out of the end product.
And when we got to the actual implementation of some of the choices we had made, we realized that it was impossible, and we went around and around on that and other questions for perhaps too long. We came back with E3 with actually less than what we wanted to. We came back from E3 with a demo. We did not come back from E3 with a playable part of a level.
We messed up, like we didn't have the design down, we didn't have the story down.
Once we actually started to see how long the missions were taken to produce and how long they were taken to design and script, and it just wasn't going to work.
Yes, Bungie were quite ambitious in what they wanted to achieve. It could possibly serve them well to have those extra weeks creating an extra level or two for Halo 2. Even Bungie to this day has the same problem. Destiny, a big space epic to fly to different planets and have your own ship, basically boiled down to MMO tropes in an FPS. Final thing I want to touch on is the law of diminishing returns. Sony is the guiltiest of this, showing games that will be at E3 for 2 or even 5 to 10 years, if you count something like Last Guardian or Final Fantasy 15. The strategy has its ups and downs. Firstly, the more you see of the game every year, the less impressive it gets, and you see new things on the horizon. But in turn, seeing a press conference with many games make people feel great about the investment they put into buying a new console. Though if we look at the other side of the coin, Bethesda officially announced Fallout 4 at E3 and released the game in the same year. And I believe more developers will choose to do so. Not only for the privacy of what's kept in the game and changed later on, but able to keep the hype at a high and be confident with their product. Even Microsoft last year at E3 only talked about games within an 18-month release window, and wouldn't be surprised if they did the same this year. There is a problem, however, which is the notion that Xbox doesn't have any games. While they may not have parity amount to PlayStation 4, Microsoft hasn't released a trailer for a game that isn't coming out past 2019, or possibly even 2018. Other things I want to touch on are the presentations themselves. They have gotten better over the years. Gone are the days where Sony used to rattle off numbers and stats that no one cared about. There is a thing that still persists, however. Awkward or annoying hosts. Just stop. Stop trotting out game developers who are introverted or celebrities that don't care about this industry. We don't want another Mr. Caffeine.
Everyone do it with me. Diddle, 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 diddle. I said everyone go diddle.
But you can keep the formula of these conferences of the one last thing and do a bit of fan service. While others will debate who won E3, it's better to take away the message that gamers came together for a few days and celebrated our medium that is growing, and be united and have amazing moments like this.